She unknowingly shared her heart with a stranger only to discover he was her millionaire boss. The neon sign flickered above the diner, the rhythmic buzz of familiar comfort to Emily as she poured coffee into steaming mugs. The air was thick with the scent of buttered pancakes and bacon, but beneath its warm ambience lay a current of uncertainty. Emily, a fierce 30-year-old single mother, was feeling the weight of her world, a busy diner, her spirited 8-year-old, Lily, and the whispers of financial trouble swirling around them. As new tech companies snatched up real estate in town, the diner felt like it was teetering on a precipice. When Ryan walked in, charming and seemingly humble. He took a seat at the counter, his eyes warm and curious. In a world where everyone else was either rushing or distracted, he stirred something in Emily. Their conversations began lightly over casual banter about coffee refills and Lily's latest school project, but soon deepened into tales of heartache, resilience, and shared dreams. Ryan listened, his attention unwavering, making the chaos around them fade into the background. Every laugh they shared felt like a gentle reminder that connection was possible even amidst uncertainty. Days turned into weeks, and their friendship became a lifeline for Emily. But doubt lurked behind her growing feelings. She had been burned before. She felt pride swell in her chest, refusing to let anyone help, especially not someone with the kind of privilege Ryan might have. Yet the bond they shared blossomed amid laughter. She felt safe except for that nagging voice that whispered of the unknown. Suddenly life cranked up the pressure. Rumors spread about a rival owner looking to snatch up diners, swallowing them whole. Emily fought to keep her head above water with early mornings and late nights, all while juggling school drop-offs and pickups. The diner's financial struggles weighed heavily, like bricks in her chest. She felt her heart tear each time she caught Lily's hopeful gaze during their quiet evenings at home. Dreaming of a better life. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the diner's fate loomed over her, Emily discovered Ryan's hidden truth. He was linked to the tech firm devouring local businesses, an unassuming millionaire who reveled in their shared moments even as his company disrupted her life. The revelation shook her to her core. Trust fractured, leaving a gaping wound where warmth had once blossomed. Could he really understand her fight when he belonged to a world that had no idea how hard she had to work every day? Their relationship reached a fever pitch, emotions tangled with hurt and longing, doubts dancing in her mind like fireflies in the summer night. Would she surrender her pride and accept help from someone who had unknowingly become part of the very problem she resented? This was more than a decision about a diner. It was about her values, her pathway forward, and the essence of true connection. Just as Emily grappled with the weight of her choices, the door swung open. The rival owner sauntered in, a smirk plastered on his face with a proposition that could change everything. Would she fight for her dreams, or plunge into an uncertain future? In that moment, the diner's hum faded into silence, leaving every soul waiting with bated breath, anxious for Emily's next move. The smirk on the rival owner's face felt like cold steel to Emily's heart. She forced herself to meet his eyes, pushing back an urge to bolt behind the counter. The diner was no longer a sanctuary. It had morphed into a battleground, with her dreams teetering on the edge. "Emily, I think we can help each other," he said, his voice smooth as silk but laced with a threat. "All I need is a signature on this contract, and I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. Think about your little girl. The world's changing fast. Don't you want to be part of that?" A lump formed in her throat. She glanced towards the back where Lily was doodling on a napkin, blissfully unaware of the turmoil just beyond her innocent fortress. If only protecting her daughter was as simple as saying no. But even with the pressure mounting, the idea of selling out the diner felt like an act of betrayal, not just to her, but to every single person who walked through those doors looking for warmth, comfort, and a slice of home. "I think you're mistaken," Emily replied, her voice firmer than she felt. "I would never let this place go." He leaned closer, his demeanor shifting from jovial to predatory. "You really want to risk it all? I have the power to take it from you quietly or not." Emily took a breath, channeling every ounce of strength. Around her swirled messages of doubt, reminders of her struggles, the late nights, the endless juggling of work and motherhood. But she also thought of Ryan, the warmth he brought into her life, the way he made her feel seen. Yet now that warmth felt like a facade, a cruel joke played by fate. How could she trust him when his world threatened everything she held dear? Just then Ryan strode through the door, his eyes scanning the room until they landed on her. She could see the concern etched on his face, a stark contrast to the rival's smug grin. He approached her like a ship navigating through a storm, calm and focused, but the tension in the air was electric. "What's going on?" Ryan asked, his voice low but urgent. Emily didn't need to say a word. The rival owner simply shrugged, feigning innocence. "Just discussing some business, aren't we, Emily?" He shot her a pointed look, as if reminding her of the stakes at play. Ryan's gaze narrowed, and for the first time, she saw an edge to him that she hadn't noticed before. "You ought to be careful whom you trust," he warned, sliding the small slip of paper he always carried in his pocket onto the counter between them. "If you ever want to talk about options, I'm here." The rival owner scoffed. "Options? Sounds pretty naive to me." Emily's pulse quickened. Could Ryan really offer her a solution, something that didn't involve giving away her diner? The space between them felt charged. She longed to bridge it, to close the gap of uncertainty and make a choice. "Emily," Ryan's voice softened, drawing her back to the moment. "You don't have to face this alone. I can help you for real." But did she dare accept help from him? Could she set aside her fears and the weight of his hidden past to forge a new path? In that moment, she realized this wasn't just about the diner anymore. It was about her future, her daughter, and the possibility of finding strength in vulnerability. As uncertainty loomed just a breath away, Emily felt a flicker of hope ignite in her chest. But it was shadowed by fear. Could she make the leap, or was the weight of her pride too heavy to bear? As Emily stood there, caught between two worlds, the door swung open again, and a figure clad in a sharp suit entered, a familiar face that could change everything. But was it a friend or foe? Each heartbeat echoed the same question in her mind: what was she willing to risk for the life she dreamed of? The door swung shut behind the slick-suited figure, and Emily's breath caught in her throat. There he stood, Michael, the man she had inadvertently shared precious moments with at community events and fundraisers, but never thought he would step into her diner. He exuded confidence, stature, and an air of authority that instantly shifted the room's energy. The rival owner's smirk faltered, replaced by a wary expression. "Michael," Emily managed to say, her voice small. Her heart raced, every underlying feeling flooding back unbidden. "Emily," he replied, brows knitting in concern as he took a step toward her. "Is everything all right? I got your text about the diner, but I didn't expect to find you like this." His gaze drifted to the rival owner, who had turned unervingly silent. Instinctively, Emily turned her side to shield Lily from view, needing to protect her innocence. "It's just a misunderstanding." She needed to hold her ground, but dread twisted in her stomach at the sight of Michael intertwined with this unfolding mess. The rival owner, realizing he was outmatched, straightened his tie and cleared his throat. "I believe our conversation is over for now, Emily." He shot Ryan a contemptuous glance before backing away. "I'll be in touch." With that, he turned on his heels and walked out, the door slamming shut behind him. Silence followed, thick and heavy. The tension still crackled in the air like a live wire. But Emily felt a rush of relief wash over her. "What was that all about?" Michael pressed, concern etching deeper lines on his forehead. "A business proposal," she said, keeping her voice steady despite the churning emotions. "He wanted to buy the diner." Michael's expression hardened, and for a moment, the businessman disappeared behind the protective nature of someone who genuinely cared. "You can't sell. Not to him. He's been trying to drive everyone out of this area for years. But I'm out of options." Her voice broke slightly and Michael took a cautious step forward, as if every word she uttered tugged at his heartstrings. "Why didn't you ask for help?" he said gently. "I would have stepped in. I can help you." Her chest tightened at the thought. Could she really trust him? She remembered the late-night conversations about dreams and aspirations, but this was different. "Do you even know what I'm risking?" I know what I want, he replied, sincerity wrapping around his words. I want you to thrive here. This diner means too much to this community. Emily met his gaze, searching for any hint of deception, but all she saw was a man who believed in her dreams. And there was something about his conviction that made her heart flutter. But the stakes were too high. Let me think about it, she said finally, voice barely above a whisper. He nodded, a flicker of understanding passing between them. It was that moment not just about the diner but their connection. Just know, he said softly, I'm not going anywhere. I'll always be here if you need me. As he stepped back, Lily peeked out from behind the counter, wide-eyed, and Emily felt the weight of the world settle back on her shoulders. She smiled at her daughter, a half-hearted attempt to mask the turmoil swirling inside. Michael approached Lily, kneeling down to her level. Hey there, kiddo. Your mom's doing great things. Just you wait. Lily grinned, the innocence of a child piercing through the chaos. But Emily's heart sank deeper. The complications ahead felt insurmountable. She wanted to believe she could accept help, to lean on someone, to let go of pride. She stared at the door where the rival owner had vanished, his presence still loomed. Could she really take that leap of faith? Just then her phone buzzed again, the screen lighting up with a message. Emily's heart dropped as she read the words, an unexpected ultimatum from the rival owner. Everything was about to change in ways she could never predict. What was her next move, and how far would she go to protect what she loved? The morning sun streamed through the diner's windows, casting long shadows that danced across the checkered floor. The hum of the coffee machine filled the air, a familiar sound that usually brought Emily comfort. But today felt different. The message on her phone still lingered in her mind, its implications too heavy to shake off. Emily's fingers trembled slightly as she set down a cup of fresh brew in front of a regular customer, who offered her a warm smile. She managed a polite nod in return, but her thoughts were a million miles away. Every clatter of dishes and murmur of conversation felt like a reminder of the trouble brewing just outside the diner walls. Mom! Lily's voice pulled her back to reality, the innocent tone breaking through the noise in Emily's head. The little girl had joyfully jumped up to the counter, her face smeared with chocolate from a hidden treat. Yes, sweetheart? Emily tried to sound lighthearted, pushing aside the knot in her stomach. Can we go to the park after school? Please. Lily's eyes sparkled with anticipation, her small fingers curling around the edge of the counter. Of course, honey, Emily replied, ruffling her daughter's hair. But I have to handle a few things here first, okay? Lily sighed, her enthusiasm dimming ever so slightly. Okay, but can you hurry back, please? Promise. As Lily scampered off to play with a few other kids in a booth, Emily felt her heart swell with both love and dread. She wanted to protect her little girl from the weight of her struggles, especially the recent ultimatum threatening their treasured diner. Just then Michael re-entered the diner, bringing a gust of fresh air that felt like a lifeline. He looked around, effortlessly flashing that smile that had begun to feel so familiar. Still here, he said as he approached, a hint of playfulness in his eyes that instantly made Emily's heart race. Trying to keep it together, she replied, forcing a smile back. How do you find us again? Had a feeling you could use some support, he said, his tone lowering just enough to convey he understood a weight had settled on her shoulders. Any progress on that deadlines? Or is it still looming over you? She glanced down at her phone, debating if she should share the ultimatum that had sent her spinning. But the moment of vulnerability flickered away. Just the usual, really. Nothing I can't handle. Michael tilted his head, studying her. I don't believe that for a second. You have that look like you're about to take a major step. A knot tightened inside her as she recalled the ultimatum. Was it truly time to make a choice? She needed more than hope. She needed a plan, yet the fear of failing swept over her like a cold wave. Look, Emily, he pressed gently. If you're feeling stuck, don't hesitate to take my number. I have resources, connections. His sincerity sparked a flicker of hope deep within her. I appreciate it, really. But this is complicated. Complicated doesn't mean impossible, he said, leaning closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. And you don't have to do it alone. Her breath quickened, uncertain of her next words. A part of her wanted to delve deeper into this growing connection with Michael. Another part kept reminding her of the stakes involved. But just then, another buzz from her phone drew her attention. She hesitated before picking it up, anticipation thrumming through her veins. The message was short but chilling, a direct confrontation from the rival owner, speaking of impending actions to secure his claimed territory. Emily read and reread the ultimatum, each word pressuring down like a heavy weight. "I need to Hey," Michael interrupted softly, placing a hand over hers that was trembling slightly against the table's surface. "Whatever happens, we'll figure it out together." As his fingers lingered over hers, she felt warmth spread through her, a flicker of courage igniting. Could she really lean on him? With new determination blazing in her veins, she pushed the worries aside. Maybe it was time to act rather than wait. If only she could decipher how much of a risk she was willing to take. And as she looked into Michael's thoughtful eyes, a thought sprouted, unclear but insistent. Just how far was she willing to go for the diner, and for her burgeoning connection with him? The clock on the wall ticked loudly, marking time like the heartbeat of a world that continued moving forward. As a decision loomed close, Emily's heart pounded in her chest. Time was running out. What would she choose, surrender her dream or fight like hell to keep it alive? The answer was right around the corner. She could feel it inching ever closer. Emily took a deep breath, her heart racing as she processed the ultimatum that had invaded her thoughts. She looked back at Michael, who was still watching her with that steady gaze. There was something comforting in it, an unspoken promise that she wasn't alone in this battle. Yet, behind that comfort loomed the reality of her situation. The stakes were high, not just for the diner but for her future with Lily. Emily felt a sharp ache in her chest. Would she really risk everything for a chance to fight? "Is everything okay?" Michael's voice broke through her whirlwind thoughts. She hesitated, weighing her words carefully. Could she trust him enough to share her fears? I don't know if I can handle this," she confessed, her voice shaky. Michael leaned slightly closer, his expression earnest. "You're stronger than you think. You've built this place from scratch. You fought for it." His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket, but doubt was a nagging companion she couldn't shake. "What if I lose it all? Then we'll find a way to rebuild," he said confidently, and despite the seriousness of the moment, there was something almost light about his tone. But what did he know about losing everything? Could he truly understand the fear that gripped her? Just then, the door swung open, and in walked a group of familiar faces, regulars, each one warm and welcoming. They filled the diner with a light-hearted energy that contrasted sharply with her anxiety. "Emily, the pancakes today are amazing," one of them called out, laughter bubbling from their lips. The familiarity of it all struck Emily like a wave of nostalgia. She glanced around. Trust Michael more than just a partner in this fight? The potential for something deeper sparked in her mind, leaving her both excited and terrified. What did that choice mean for them going forward? And as she looked into Michael's eyes, she wondered, could their partnership blossom into something more, or would it shatter under the pressures that awaited them? The next morning, Emily woke with the dawn, the bright sun streaming through her kitchen window. It felt like a new beginning, a chance to take action. She poured herself a strong cup of coffee and sat at the table, her thoughts tangled. The fundraiser was a brilliant idea, but she knew getting it off the ground would take more than just enthusiasm. She could practically hear the echoes of laughter from the diner, feel the warmth of the community that had gathered there over the years. They were the lifeblood of the place, and if they were willing to fight with her, maybe they could turn the tide. As she sat there, her phone buzzed again, its screen lighting up with a message. It was Michael. "Ready for a big day? Let us finalize the details." Her heart skipped. Just the thought of working closely with him brought a rush of hope. After quickly finishing her coffee, she grabbed her notebook and headed to the diner. The familiar scent of pancakes and syrup welcomed her, a comforting aroma that reminded her of home. She spotted Michael already at a booth, going through lists and notes. "Morning," he greeted, his smile brightening the room. "Morning. I got some ideas." She took a seat across from him, her excitement bubbling over. "What if we add a raffle? Everyone loves a chance to win something special." "Great idea. We could source donations from local businesses. Make it a community effort," he replied, enthusiasm in his voice as they continued brainstorming. Emily felt the tension of the previous day melt away, replaced with a sense of purpose. They fleshed out details: live music, local vendors, and delicious food that they could showcase. Each idea felt like a step further away from despair and closer to triumph. They spent hours mapping it all out, laughing and sharing light moments between planning. But just as they hit a rhythm, a shadow flitted across the diner. Emily looked up to see Todd, the rival owner, standing by the entrance, arms crossed and a smug smile on his face. "Planning your little charity event?" he drawled, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Emily's heart raced. "What do you want, Todd?" He strode over, confidence oozing from every step. "Just came to remind you it's not going to change anything. You're still on borrowed time. This diner can't last against real competition." Anger flared inside Emily. "You have no idea what this place means to us. You think a threat can scare me?" He raised an eyebrow, amused. "I know exactly what it means. Just don't say I didn't warn you when I take it from you." With a flick of his wrist, he turned and walked out, leaving a tense silence lingering in his wake. Emily felt her stomach twist. Michael placed a hand on hers, grounding her. "Don't let him get to you. You're doing this for a reason." She took a deep breath, determined not to show weakness. "You're right. This fundraiser is going to show him what we're made of." As they began to brainstorm ideas again, Emily felt something shift between her and Michael. Their eyes lingered a bit longer, their smiles a little softer. She knew that trusting him was the right choice, not only for the diner but for the shared bond they were forming. Yet, as she dove fully into the planning, another message pinged on her phone. It was from Lily's school. The principal wanted to meet about some changes concerning the upcoming year. What could that mean? Was it connected to everything going on? As a wave of anxiety washed over her, she squeezed Michael's hand tighter. She was about to face another fight, and this one involved her daughter. Did Emily have the strength to confront challenges from both Todd and the school? Would she be able to balance the battle for her diner, and the worries about Lily's future? Emily's breath hitched as she stared at her phone. The principal wanted to discuss changes? Anxiety rolled through her like a wave. She tried to focus back on Michael, but the uncertainty gnawed at her. "What's wrong?" Michael's voice pulled her back to the moment. "It's Lily's school. The principal wants to meet about some changes." She forced a smile, but it felt fragile. "I'm just not sure what it could mean." Michael's expression softened, concern etched on his features. "Do you want me to come with you?" The offer was comforting. She shook her head, though. "No, I need to handle this on my own." "Okay, but remember, you're not alone. You've got the diner, your community, and me." His reassurance wrapped around her like a warm blanket. With determined shoulders, Emily dived back into their plans. She clung to the hope that their fundraiser would rally the community. They outlined tasks and created flyers, every detail pulling them closer together. Laughter bubbled up, each exchange drawing them into a shared vision that seemed to spark new energy within the diner's four walls. Hours passed, and as the sun dipped lower in the sky, Emily caught a glimpse of her reflection in the diner's window. She saw a woman fighting for what she loved, someone willing to confront the odds. But with that courage mingled an undercurrent of fear. What if Todd was right? What if she lost everything? The idea twisted her insides, but just then, the cheerful jingle of the doorbell snapped her from her thoughts. A small group of regulars shuffled in, their faces lighting up as they spotted Emily and Michael. "Hey, heard about the fundraiser?" one called out as they settled into their usual booth. "Yeah, sounds exciting." Another chimed in. "We'll help however we can." An older man added, his face lined with warmth. Emily felt a rush of gratitude. The energy in the diner shifted as more familiar faces joined in, buzzing with ideas and support. There was a flicker of hope, a promise that together they could make this work. "See, this is what it's all about," Michael said, his smile infectious. And for a brief moment the worries faded, replaced by laughter and chatter. Emily allowed herself to bask in the warmth of their community, the very thing that made the diner special. She felt a spark ignite within her, a feeling that perhaps they could turn the tide after all. But that feeling quickly evaporated as she remembered the weight of her other battle looming ahead with the school principal. The mixed emotions churned within her. "Hey, I just got an idea," one of the regulars said, snapping her back to the moment. "How about we do a cook-off as part of the fundraiser? Everyone can bring their best dishes, and we can have a vote." "Yes," Emily exclaimed, the excitement trickling back in. "That'll bring more people in and boost donations." As she and Michael began jotting down more ideas, a part of her felt worried about the meeting with the principal. What if they told her Lily wouldn't be able to continue at the school? But now wasn't the time to dwell on that. Not with the momentum building around her. Every smile, every cheer from the community felt like a step toward triumph, and she needed to embrace that. A sudden thought flicked through her mind. Maybe I can combine the cook-off with something to share about Lily. Like a dishes from home theme. It'll involve everyone and celebrate our kids too. Perfect. We'll make it something meaningful, Michael agreed, his energy feeding off of hers. As they finalized plans, Emily felt lighter. If only she could carry that spirit into her meeting later. She'd need every ounce of strength she could muster when faced with the principal's uncertain agenda. Later, as they wrapped up, Emily's phone buzzed again. The principal's name flashed across the screen. The meeting was in just an hour. She felt a pit in her stomach, a swirl of anticipation and anxiety. Are you okay? Michael asked, the concern clear in his voice. I don't know what to expect. What if they take Lily away from her friends? Michael squeezed her shoulder. Whatever it is, you'll know how to handle it. You've got this. But with doubt shadowing her thoughts, Emily glanced at the clock. Was she ready to face yet another challenge that day? In that heartbeat, she realized she wasn't sure who she was wading deeper into the battle for her diner, or her daughter's future. As she gathered her things, she felt Michael's presence steadying her. He stood close, ready to offer support before the storm arrived. Her heart raced not just from the uncertainty of the meeting, but from the unspoken connection that seemed to deepen between them. Would her resolve to protect her daughter's future triumph over her fear? Could she fight like hell for both her diner and her girl? Emily took a deep breath, willing her heart to settle as she stepped out of the diner. The evening air curled around her like a friend, both warm and invigorating, pushing her forward. The streetlights glinted softly on the pavement, casting a glow that blurred the edges of her worries. If only for a moment. With every step toward the school, memories of Lily filled her mind. She could see her daughter's face, bright and full of laughter, a reminder of everything worth fighting for. But as she approached the school doors, doubt clawed at her. What if today's meeting pulled the rug from under her? She paused outside the entrance, fighting against the whirlwind of emotions tangled within her. Just then, the door swung open and Principal Harris stepped out, her expression unreadable. Emily, she called, her voice cutting the silence like a knife. Hi, Principal Harris. Thanks for seeing me, Emily said, forcing words past the lump in her throat. Let us talk inside, the principal replied, gesturing for Emily to follow her down the hallway. As they walked, the familiar sights of colorful lockers and bulletin boards filled with student art lined the walls, but they felt distant now, almost ghostly. Inside the office, Principal Harris gestured toward a chair. Please have a seat. Her demeanor was calm, but there was a gravity in the air that made Emily uneasy. Thank you, Emily said, settling into the chair, feeling as if she was sinking deeper into a pit filled with dread. Emily, I wanted to discuss the upcoming changes to our curriculum, Harris began, her tone professional but softened by hints of empathy. There have been discussions about restructuring some classes, and I understand that it might impact students like Lily. Emily's heart raced. What do you mean? Is she at risk of being moved? Panic slipped into her voice and she hated how it twisted her insides. The principal inhaled sharply, her gaze steady on Emily. No, that's not what I meant. Lily is doing wonderfully in her current class. I'm actually impressed by her progress. Relief washed over Emily like a warm wave, but it was quickly replaced by curiosity. So what changes are you suggesting? Harris leaned forward, her fingers entwined on the desk. We're considering a new program that emphasizes hands-on learning, and I believe it could greatly benefit children like Lily. It focuses on inclusivity, and we want to ensure every child is supported. Emily's shoulders shifted, the weight of her tension lessening slightly. That sounds promising. But how do we implement this? I want to ensure Lily stays connected with her friends and maintains her current progress. We would work together on a transition plan, the principal assured her. And I'd love to involve parents, especially those who run community efforts like your fundraiser. At that moment, a spark ignited within Emily's heart. A chance to engage the community while also fighting for her daughter? That's a great idea, she replied, excitement creeping back in. I can rally support and get others involved. Principal Harris nodded, her expression softening. I knew the fundraiser would rally the community. We can build something great together. Just then, a haunting knock interrupted them. The door swung open and a man stepped in, tall and imposing but with a friendly whimsical smile that lit up the room. Emily recognized him at once. Todd, her estranged husband, standing in a suit as if he owned the place. Emily, he greeted with a smirk, his eyes darting between her and the principal. I thought I'd find you here. Heart pounding in her chest, Emily looked from Todd to Principal Harris, confusion knotting tighter within her. What are you doing here? She asked, bracing for a storm. Todd's smile widened. I have a seat on the school board now and it seems I'll have quite a vote on these changes. With a shifting tide of uncertainty facing her, Emily braced herself. Would the meeting take a turn she didn't expect? Would she find a way forward amidst the chaos? The stakes were rising, leaving her to wonder what did Todd's newfound involvement mean for Lily's future? The air grew thick with tension as Todd's presence loomed larger in the small office. Emily's gaze flicked between the principal and her estranged husband, searching for a sign of what this could mean. Good to see you, Todd, Principal Harris said, her tone cool but courteous. The polite veneer did nothing to ease Emily's anxiety. Thanks, Karen. Todd's voice was smooth, but Emily could sense an undercurrent. I was just touching base on the school's new initiatives. Sounds exciting, doesn't it, Emily? He turned his full attention to her, the smirk still plastered on his face, but the warmth in his eyes felt like a distant memory. I didn't realize you were so involved in school affairs again. Curious if my little plan will affect your fundraiser perhaps in ways you wouldn't expect. The words pricked at her insides. My daughter deserves a fair chance, Todd. It's not about you, she replied, her voice steady but laced with steel. I'm aware, he continued, his eyes narrowing slightly. But changes at the board level aren't always straightforward, are they? With the new program we're venturing into uncharted territory. Emily's heart thundered in her chest. You think I won't be able to handle it? This is about Lily's education, not some game. Principal Harris interjected, her voice calm yet firm. Todd, this discussion isn't about personal agendas. It's about ensuring every child has opportunities tailored to them. We were discussing how to best implement the program. Oh, of course, Todd replied, waving her off with a casual flick of his hand. But think about the nature of these decisions. They need to be practical, don't they? Especially with someone like Emily leading community efforts. The emphasis on someone like Emily stung and felt like a dig wrapped in false politeness. She felt the heat rising to her cheeks. I'm dedicated to helping every child succeed, including Lily and her friends. Let us hope so, he murmured, glancing at the principal before shifting his gaze back to her. After all, we wouldn't want the school's budget stretched too thin. The implication hung in the room like a dark cloud. Todd had always been good at hiding his true intentions, and his words had an edge that left Emily uneasy. She took a breath, summoning her courage. Whatever it takes. I'm ready to fight for Lily and her future. His smile faded for just a moment, revealing a hint of the conflict under the surface. You'd better be, he replied, his tone shifting. Because I won't shy away from what I feel is best for this school, especially not when it comes to my daughter. I won't either, Emily shot back, fueled by a mix of fear and determination. They were at an impasse now. Very well, Harris interjected, trying to regain control. Let us outline our next steps and ensure all parties are heard. The trio spent a few minutes pulling together thoughts, but the tension remained palpable. Emily could barely concentrate on the meeting, her mind racing with the implications of Todd's involvement in the school board, and how it would affect her plans for Lily. When they finally concluded, Emily stepped outside, feeling a heavy knot in her stomach. Cool air hit her face, but it did little to wash away her anxiety. She glanced back at the school's entrance, half expecting Todd to emerge behind her. As she made her way home, her thoughts spiraled. Todd's smile kept returning to her mind. The tug-of-war between what he wanted and what was best for Lily felt impossible. Could she truly navigate this mess without losing everything she had fought for? And as she stepped into her house, the phone rang, breaking the silence. She answered, heart racing again, as a voice on the other end said, Emily, we need to talk about the fundraiser and some surprising support you might be getting. With her pulse quickening, She wondered if support could mean trouble too. What lay ahead, and could it bring her closer to victory or push her further into chaos? Emily stepped into the diner with the weight of the world still resting on her shoulders. The familiar sense of breakfast, the sizzling bacon, the sweet aroma of pancakes wreathed around her, but they felt different now. Today was game day. The fundraiser she had poured her heart into was just hours away, but everything felt uncertain, like a script still being written. She spotted Michael at the counter, tirelessly putting up flyers. Every time she caught a glimpse of him, her heart danced a little. He looked up and grinned, and in his eyes was the promise of support, something she desperately needed. "Are you ready for this?" he asked, glancing at her with a warmth that ignited a spark of hope. The way he looked at her made her feel strong, as if she could conquer anything. "Ready as I'll ever be," she replied, trying to sound braver than she felt. "I just hope everyone shows up. God, I need this." Around noon, the doors of the diner flung open, and one by one, familiar faces poured in, her customers, her community. The noise swelled, laughter filled the air, and for a moment, Emily felt the weight of her worries begin to lift. There was her regulars, the middle-aged couple who sat at their usual booth, cheerful and eager to chip in. "I brought my special casserole for the cook-off." One of them beamed. "Look at that," Michael exclaimed, excitement bubbling in his voice. "This is what we need. Community at its best." As patrons began to set up their dishes for the cook-off, Emily felt a swell of pride. They were more than just diners, they were her family. She watched Lily laughing with other children, carefree and happy, and a warmth surged in her chest. This was for her. Everything she did, every fight she faced, was for this moment. But as the first few guests trickled in, the door creaked open once more. Emily's heart sank as she saw Todd walking in, his confident stride cutting through the warmth like a knife. The chatter around her faded to whispers among the crowd as eyes turned toward him. She could almost hear the collective breath hold. What was he doing here? "Nice little gathering you have," Todd said. A smirk plastered on his face, surveying the scene with contempt. Anxiety shot through Emily, but she squared her shoulders, silently willing herself not to back down. "What do you want, Todd?" she asked, her voice steady despite the tremor in her stomach. "Just checking in. Can't let you assume you'll rise above anything without me. A business proposal never hurts, right?" He turned his gaze to their customers, who appeared uneasy under the confrontation. "Emily, doesn't he need your proposals?" Michael stepped forward, protective and fierce. "This diner is about community, not opportunism." A ripple of support flowed from the crowd. "You're right," shouted a voice from the back. "We believe in Emily." Emboldened, Emily took a deep breath. "You think this is a game, Todd? This is my life. You may have a seat on the board, but you don't have power over my dreams. I'm not backing down." Sympathy, strength, and laughter began to rise in the diner, drowning out Todd's condescension. The warmth of connection, of support, lit a fire in Emily's heart. The crowd rallied around her as the cook-off began, the tension in the room shifting as laughter and camaraderie took over. Todd could feel it, the strength of their unity. He glared at Emily but turned to leave, muttering under his breath before disappearing through the door as dinner plates filled with colorful dishes, and people savored the flavors. Laughter enveloped them like a warm blanket. Emily felt an overwhelming sense of love for the community she fought for and a deep gratitude for Michael standing beside her. Once the noise simmered down, Emily took a breath and grabbed a microphone. Her heart raced as she faced her crowd, the people who supported her not just because of the diner, but for her because of her story. "Thank you everyone for being here today. You support more than just a diner. You support every late night and hard decision that has brought me here. You all remind me that we are stronger together." As she spoke, she could see the faces of people who had believed in her from the start. There was genuine love woven into the fabric of their community as the crowd erupted in cheers and applause, and the winners of the cook-off were announced. Emily felt the weight on her shoulders begin to ease. She was proud not just of the fundraiser, but of who she had become. With Lily hugging her tight and Michael's warm gaze grounding her, Emily realized that the fight might never truly end. However, she would never be alone again. A soft smile crept onto her face as she thought about the future. Turns out vulnerability didn't mean weakness. It meant strength, unity, and the promise of hope. As the evening concluded, the diner was filled with laughter and memories. Emily's heart finally felt light. Let us do this again next year, right? Michael's voice broke through her daydream. Absolutely. She laughed, knowing they would. This wasn't just a moment. It was a declaration of reaffirmation. She had gathered her community, and together, they would continue to fight, love, and win. So she would embrace every chapter ahead, because with every setback, there was resilience waiting to shine through. If you felt moved by Emily's journey, now is your chance. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you never miss an exclusive story filled with inspiration. Leave a like now, feeding the algorithm and supporting our storytelling. Comment below with your thoughts on the ending. Tell us how it made you feel. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need this transformation in their lives. This is the moment to show your support, and only true fans understand the magnitude of these actions. Don't wait not even one more second.